I mean, it's strange. It's strange to me too. But we talking about practice, man. We're not even talking about the game, the actual game, when it matters. We talking about practice.
Hello, welcome to Symbiose. Welcome to the podcast. Tonight or morning for us, we have Alex Toohey. Alex, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
Same. And Chaïm, how are you?
Very good. Very excited to have Alex on the show.
You are the first Australian prospect we have on this podcast, so we are really pleased to have you on our podcasts. Many thanks to you.
Yeah.
To start, can you introduce you for those who don't know you?
Yeah. My name's Alex Toohey. I play for the Sydney Kings in the Australian NBL, and this is my second year in the professional ranks.
Perfect. Can you tell us something about your early days as a basketball player, and maybe what made you choose this sport, or why did you go with basketball?
Yeah. So I actually lived in Belgium for 3 years when I was younger. My dad had a job over there, so that's where I first started playing. My mum was my coach at a random school camp, so I was very young. I would have been about 6 when I started playing, and just loved it from there. And I got an older brother and sister who would always play in the backyard, so I kind of followed them around. And from there, I played a bunch of different sports growing up. And then it was between cricket. I'm not sure if you guys know what cricket is.
Yeah, we know.
A bit.
Yeah, that's a big Australian sport. So I played that for a bit, and then it kind of got too much to keep up both sports at a high level, and decided to stick with basketball, and got a bit of height, so everyone kind of pushed me towards it. So stuck with that, and then got invited from when I was around grade 10 in high school. I got invited to the Center of Excellence, and it's kind of like the French Academy. They have an N-Swiss or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Australian equivalent of that, and that's where I was for nearly 3 years, from 16 to 19, and that's probably where the bulk of my development came from, is being there at the academy with Dyson Daniels and Josh Giddey and those kind of guys. So that's probably the biggest development for me. And then I had a few good tournaments. We went to America for a tournament and got a few college offers, and decided to originally commit to Gonzaga, which is a pretty high program in America, and then decided to stay home last minute. And there was a great opportunity to be a pro straight away at Sydney, which is close to where I'm from in Canberra. So there was a good option for me, and I think that's probably the right decision. And then, yeah, here I am, second year.
Yep. Do you have any personal or team goals for this season?
Yeah, I think obviously everyone's going to say they want to win a championship, so that's definitely an easy one to say. And then in terms of my development, I think it's just looking at it from a day-to-day standpoint is, can I keep stacking good days of training and make sure that development isn't just coming from games, but we have 1 or 2 games a week, so the rest is just as important as the games, and the games are just another opportunity to show what you've worked on. So I think just making sure that I keep up good habits of training, and in terms of some more nitty-gritty goals, I think learning to shoot it a bit better this year from last year, and I feel like my shot's progressing nicely, so try and keep that up. And then I think finishing, getting to 2 feet and making good decisions from 2 feet, and then defensively being able to stay in front of multiple positions is something I look at as a success if I can really nail those things at the end of the year.
Okay,
good. You said before in your first answer that you chose to stay in the NBL, so it's the Next Star program. Can you describe it for people who don't know what it is to be inside this program?
Yeah, so the Next Stars program is it's another route for young players, to ultimately try and get to the NBA, and they'll try and get the best talent from Australia or internationally, just the best young talent, and offer them a spot on a professional roster in the NBL. And there are a bunch of resources. There's a full-time team that's devoted to media and spreading the news about the players, and a big support system there. And then obviously the competition, if you do accept that next star role, you're in a great league and an English-speaking league, which is English-speaking country, which is very important for a lot of guys. So coming to that and then being in the pros from a young age is something that's, I think it's very important for guys to develop habits and be around the professionals from a young age, and the competition is great too. So I think it's a great option for guys that are trying to get to the NBA, and instead of maybe college or another professional route, I think the NBL is a good option for a lot of guys.
Okay. Do you have any contacts with guys like Proctor, who are currently in the college basketball, or Taran Armstrong, who went to college and came back to Australia? Do you talk to them for this choice?
Yeah, definitely talked to a few people. Spoke to Tyrese about his decision, and he enjoyed college and thought that was the best for him. And
Okay.
he's definitely playing well this year, so his game has taken a lot of steps forward, which is great to see. And then, yeah, I think talking to guys like Josh Giddey as well that thought about that college option, but ultimately decided to stick with the NBL, and kind of understand what they thought about their decision and how it turned out, and what the pros and cons were of each.
Okay.
So you went with the Sydney Kings in the NBL. They were the so defending champs now. How important is winning compared to your development? You know, you have to develop yourself, but still, how important is winning for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a big balance, and I think that is an area that is big in the NBL. Is obviously you want to develop talent, but winning is just as important. Obviously, it's a professional league, so I think the balance is hand in hand, as in you got to develop your game day to day in training and making sure you're playing right, but that demand that you're not going to have the freedom to play 40 minutes and shoot whatever shot. Like, you're going to have to integrate yourself into a winning system. So I think that's a good translation to guys that get to the NBA and they're role players and have to really earn their roles. So you get that experience of coming in and knowing how to play in systems and playing roles. You look at lottery picks that go to certain teams, maybe one or two get the green light to do whatever they want, and the rest are fitting into a system. Some will play barely any minutes, some will play 15 to 20 minutes plus. So I think that learning when you get into the NBL is how you can influence winning and how you can keep yourself on the court, and that's developing your game and that development. But in turn, it's trying to balance that winning too. And if you can figure out ways to win, it's gonna get you paid a lot of money.
Yeah, it's like a win-win situation, because you can play and you can win, so it's like useful. How would you describe your playing style for someone who has never seen you play?
Yeah, I'd say I am a versatile player. I think I make good decisions with the ball, and I'm pretty unique as with the positions I'll play. I'll be a two-man, I'll be a four-man, sometimes playing the five. So I think being able to shift up and down the roster is a big part of my game. And the NBA is so spread out with so much space that you're going to have to be in different positions. So getting used to that as well. And then I think I'm pretty consistent with my three-point shot. I feel like I'm a threat from there. So being able to space the floor, but also being able to create with the ball and get downhill and be creative in the key and be a bit of a facilitator. So I'd say I do a bit of everything, but I think, yeah, definitely being versatile and being able to guard multiple positions is also another strength of mine.
Okay, because we saw in an interview you talked about being a playmaking wing also. That was something important to you, be able to play make, have the ball in your hands, because you have pretty good handle for your size, which is not common, which makes you different from other players that play your supposed position. But so you said you have 3-point shot, everything. You have different skills, but what for you, in your opinion, will translate the most to the NBA? What do teams look for when they look at you as a prospect? They think, okay, he can bring this straight away to our team. What will it
Yeah,
do for you?
it's a good question. I think obviously shooting would be a nice one to have, and I think that's something that takes time to develop. But in terms of instant translation, I think it's hard to say versatility because that's obviously a general statement. But I think it's a mix of that versatility, size, and just being able to make the right decisions with the ball. And you look at how the NBA plays now, and every team has different systems. But you look at the Nuggets and their wings; it's a pretty simple role. You're either getting a catch and shoot three from Jokic, or you're cutting behind the defense to make a play on the rim. So I think kind of looking at that as in I'm flexible to integrate into a lot of systems, and I think kind of plugging gaps. I don't think there's a roster where if I get to my full potential, there's not an option for me to start or play minutes on any team. I think that kind of size and being able to do a lot of things with the ball is a big benefit. So I'd say, yeah, I think it's a combination of that, just being skilled at my size and being able to guard multiple positions. But there's probably not one attribute, which could be a negative, but can also be a positive. So I think it's probably the best way to look at it.
Okay. Do you have any pre-game routines, or do you listen to a particular song, anything to get you in the mood to when you play basketball?
Yeah, it's a good question. I kind of change it up usually. I don't like getting stuck in routines because I feel like then you just build superstition that if you don't get one thing done, it's all over. So I kind of mix and match, and then obviously it's just looking after your body and rolling and stretching and getting your workout in beforehand. So I think they're just the main routines I have, and then I just like to talk to my teammates and be in the moment.
Okay.
And so that's pre-game, but afterwards, sometimes it happens as a pro, as what happened all over your basketball career. Sometimes you'll have an off night. You'll have some games they just don't go your way, and it's hard to ask this question this way. But how do you deal with games like this? Like, do you have something that you go through the film? Do you just say I'll work it out, or do you have something to get your mind right and then your game? Is there any balance on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think obviously it's going to be ups and downs with everyone's career, and I'm definitely guilty of having bad games, probably a bit more frequently than I'd like recently. But I think it's just looking. Obviously, you got to look at the film and evaluate it, but I think it's big to make sure you have other outlets in your life to make sure that when basketball's going well, that's not the only positive thing in your life. Is that you kind of stay composed and make sure there's outlets you can enjoy and have fun and be social. So I think that's a big emphasis of mine, is just making sure that there's stuff outside of basketball. Basketball, it can't be. It's obviously your job, but it can't be a demanding thing. Like you got to love it. And look at the NBA players, the guys that play for ages. They're the guys that love it. So making sure that I keep it fresh and try and make sure that I have that passion, which I do, and that's not going to go anywhere. But just having that balance of putting everything in perspective and make sure your relations are good and how you speak to family and friends. So I think it's just kind of putting my mind at ease and then making sure that I make sure I learn from it. So I watch film, practice the shots that I missed, and really I like to write notes after games. So
Okay.
really evaluate myself.
Okay. We saw on your Instagram you did some workouts with Clay Thompson or Zach LaVine. Did you give you any tools? What impression did they give you?
Yeah, it was very cool, and I was very grateful for that opportunity. I think just talking to those guys and spending time with them, you learn a lot of stuff and how they go around their day to day. And some of them were rehabbing then, so looking at that side of the game and the mental resilience of that was cool. But then just their workouts, and they're super deliberate. They know exactly what they're working on, and they're open to feedback. So even though they've been playing it for half their life and longer, they're still learning and they're still curious. So I think just learning about that mindset of these guys are asking me questions about basketball and that sort of thing. So I think just being curious and obviously they're tremendous players, but just seeing the work they do behind the scenes to maintain everything.
Okay.
Okay. And you said you watched your tapes after some games, but how much basketball do you watch, and what type of basketball do you actually watch? The NBL, the NBA, college basketball, old tapes, your tapes?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I used to, when I was playing cricket and basketball, I wouldn't really watch basketball that much. I just like playing it, and then I think I remember I said it in an interview ages ago, years ago, and then the coach just said, you can never say that because the NBA scouts look at that.
Nah,
They
they
say
don't like that.
yeah. So now I'm big on film and watching basketball now, and I mean I love EuroLeague, but I think that's the most pure kind of basketball. So I love watching EuroLeague stuff, and then obviously the NBL, watching myself in that. I'm not a big fan of college basketball. I think it's slow. It's cool. Obviously the schools and the fan bases, like it's cool to watch as a fan, but in terms of watching the basketball, it's not the best at all. And I guess the NBA in some instances as well. So I think EuroLeague's probably the biggest category I watch. But apart from that, I watch my games and then just watch as much basketball as I can.
That's interesting. Not often players that answer EuroLeague before the NBA, but that's very cool, especially for European people.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yep. Is there any player who particularly inspire you, like old or current player in the NBA or in your league?
Yeah, it's a good one. I think I like watching like a bunch of different players, but I like Franz Wagner right now. He's been super cool. So yeah, he's been killing it, and it's funny enough, most of them are European, but him, Luka, Bogdanovic when he's healthy, those wings that are kind of similar size and shooting ability is off the charts. But I like watching those guys, and like I said, similar size and similar position, so they're probably some of my favorites.
Okay. And maybe it's a weird question, but where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, it's a deep one. Yeah, I think ultimately I'd like to be in the NBA, and I think that's obviously everyone's dream. But I think just if I am there and I've developed the habits of recovery and shooting workouts and those routines and that stuff, I'd like to say that I'm pretty close to my full potential by then. And then, I think looking at like Olympics and World Cup, and those would be very cool things to play in. And obviously, if not the NBA, I mean, EuroLeague is unbelievable. So if I can't get there, I'd be happy to head to the Euros. Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
What does a typical day look like for you between basketball, life, training, all the stuff?
Yeah, so I usually wake up, have some breakfast. We usually train in the morning, so I'll head over to training, and we'll be there from 8 to 12, 1 in the afternoon, and then I'll head home and have some food. I'll swim in the ocean. I'm pretty close to the ocean here, which is very nice. So bit of recovery, and then I'll usually do some stretching or rolling, make sure my body's right, and then from there I'll play some video games. Our team's big on video games, so connect with our guys over that, and then I usually have dinner, and then after dinner I usually go and hang out with some friends that live around the corner. So not the busiest day, but I'd say that's a pretty ideal day for myself.
It's a pretty good day.
Yeah, I mean, can't complain.
And so you said video games outside of basketball. So do you have any other hobbies, passions, some stuffs that get you going besides basketball?
Yeah, I like playing golf as well.
Oh, nice.
We got a few golfers on the team, so we'll go out pretty frequently, which is nice. And then, I think just hanging with people, getting out on walks and stuff, and just being social are some things I enjoy.
Yeah, it's good to not be in a bubble of basketball, especially as a pro, because then when it's going bad, everything's going bad in your life. So that's good that you have
Yep.
other stuff going.
Yeah.
If you could pick one legend and play against him, who will choose and why?
That's a good question.
Tricky, tricky one.
Tricky one. I mean, Michael Jordan would be pretty cool. I'm a big LeBron fan, so I'd like to see if he really is better than LeBron, which I don't think he is, but that'd probably be my reason for doing that. But I'd probably say a former player, maybe Dirk Nowitzki. I feel like that'd be pretty funny.
Yep.
Playing him in the post, just watching the fadeaways. That'd be cool.
That's a good choice.
Yep.
And if you had not been a basketball player, would you have gone the cricket way, or would you have wanted to have, I don't know if we can say a normal job, but not be a professional athlete?
Yeah, it's a good one. I think I'd like to play cricket, but if it wasn't a sporting job, I kind of tell myself I'd just figure something out. Obviously, had a few interests in sport, but yeah, maybe I'll be a farmer.
That's a good choice, man.
Yep.
You're happy being a farmer,
Yeah.
then it's all good.
Absolutely.
This one is really tricky because would you rather win a gold medal with Australia or winning a ring in NBA?
That's a good question. I think I'd say Australia.
Okay.
Just because I think that's what would help basketball grow in Australia, and I think that would have the most impact and the most gratification, because the next generation of Boomers guys, we have potentially guys that I lived with in Canberra at the Center of Excellence. So I think that'd be pretty cool to win it with a few of my close friends.
Okay.
I think that would be great. And
Yep.
but you think Australia, like now being with the, I don't want to say old generation, but you already have guys that have been established in the NBA and everywhere else, and now you have lots of young players like yourself, like you said, Josh Giddey. You have all those guys. You have Dyson Daniels. You have his younger brother coming
Dash
up.
Daniels. Yep.
You have a good mix of veterans and young prospects. Do you believe Australia? I mean, I think obviously you're gonna say yes, but do you believe that Australia could win a medal in the next Olympics, or is there a long way to go towards that medal?
I think it's a combination. I think there is potential if everything goes right, and it's obviously not just proven that the best players win the games. It's a mix of like the chemistry and people playing their role and that sort of thing. So I think anyone can kind of win those tournaments. But yeah, I think it's a long way away in the sense that I think basketball in Australia is big, but I think it's still like there's so much demand for it. Like there's not enough basketball courts for the kids coming up, and like struggle to get kids into basketball. And I think it's like everyone wants to play, but the facilities is not quite there yet. So I think in terms of that, and I think the NBL, if the media rights can keep developing to put it on normal TV, I think that'll skyrocket it too. So I think if the trend is there, I think that we have the fundamental athletes in Australia that have the potential to be great basketballers, and I do think that the talent we have now is incredible too. So I definitely think that it can be achieved.
Yeah, I may be mistaken, but basketball is not the first sport in Australia right now.
Yeah,
it might be. It'd be that or AFL, if you know
Okay.
what that is, or football, soccer. Soccer's up there as well. Yeah.
Okay. I had another question, and I sorry.
Do you have any mantra like you the Kobe mentality, anything like this? A word, a quotes that you can read, and I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I think I like a lot of different quotes. I usually just find some that I like. is the one that I like to say the most. I think just like be where your feet are. That's a big one I've heard a lot, and I think that applies to everyone in no matter what field they're in. So I think that's a big one, and just being present and enjoying the moment.
Yeah, it's a good
Okay.
life quote.
Yep.
And I had my question. I found it. Do you have any thoughts about French people or French basketball? Like, do you watch it and know it? And would you like to come to France?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty close in Belgium, so my sister learned to speak French when she was pretty young, and I was too young to appreciate living in Europe, being close to Paris and stuff. But I definitely love France and love their people, and I played with Zach Risachet at the Nike Hoop Summit, so I saw him there and got to speak to him, and he's a great guy. And yeah, even back then I could tell this dude's gonna be #1 pick, not even close. And so young, he's so tall, he can do so much stuff. So seeing that, and then being around Alex last year as well in the NBL, and one of my friends who was at the Center of Excellence as well was his teammate. So hearing stories about him and how great of a guy he is. So yeah, a lot of love for the French people, and obviously French basketball is going to be a big problem in the next few years with that big three is going to be some trouble.
Hell yeah.
It is.
I have a last question. Are you a Vegemite enjoyer?
I love Vegemite. Love it. We used to get it sent over when I lived in Europe. We used to get it sent over when everyone would come and visit us.
Oh yeah, so big fans.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you two tried it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was
We've
Yeah,
both
you
been
like
to Australia. It's different than what we know.
Yeah.
So
It's better than l'escargot.
I don't know.
we're not fans, but we need to try it some more.
Yep.
That's true.
Well, Alex, thank you for your time. This interview is coming to its end. We're pleased to enjoy watching you play basketball this year. It's been great, and we can't wait to watch you play some more. And we only wish you luck for what's next.
Thank you. I appreciate that, you guys.
Same.
You're welcome.